What would you do if your husband announced his divorce from you at your own anniversary party? What if the man you built into a millionaire CEO destroys you in front of 500 people? Would you cry, collapse, or rise from the ashes and take back everything he stole? This is Amanda Grayson's story. A woman who thought she had a perfect life until she was humiliated and discarded like trash at her wedding vow renewal. The scream pierced through the Chicago night like a knife through silk. Amanda Grayson stood frozen on the marble steps of her own mansion, watching her world explode in real time. 500 of America's most powerful people stared in shock as her husband Michael grabbed the microphone at what was supposed to be their 5th anniversary vow renewal ceremony. "I'm divorcing Amanda tonight," he announced to the crowd. "And I'm marrying the woman I truly love." That's when Sabrina walked out in a wedding dress. But let me tell you how we got here. Because this story doesn't start with betrayal. It starts with trust. And sometimes trust is the most dangerous thing you can give someone. 3 hours earlier, Amanda had been the happiest woman in Chicago. The Grayson estate sparkled like a diamond against Lake Michigan, transformed into a wonderland for their 5th wedding anniversary celebration. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across marble floors, where tech billionaires mingled with real estate moguls, where entertainment executives posed with political powerhouses. Everyone who mattered in America was there to celebrate 5 years of marriage. Nobody expected to witness the most brutal public humiliation in Chicago's social history. Amanda adjusted her silver gown one last time, emerald eyes bright with excitement. At 38, she was Chicago's most respected businesswoman. The brilliant strategist who'd built Grayson Technologies from nothing into a billion-dollar empire. Tonight, she and Michael would renew their 5-year marriage vows in front of everyone who'd watched their rise to power. "Mrs. Grayson, you look radiant," Maria whispered. But Amanda barely heard her assistant. Her heart raced with anticipation as she prepared to join the man she'd been married to for 5 incredible years. The man who was about to destroy her. Michael Grayson commanded the terrace like a king holding court. At 42, he possessed the magnetic presence that made investors write $1 million checks and competitors tremble. His tailored tuxedo fit perfectly, his salt and pepper hair styled to perfection, his confident smile lighting up every camera flash. But Amanda remembered a different Michael. 7 years ago when they first met. Had been a broke entrepreneur pitching software ideas in coffee shops, nervous and passionate with holes in his shoes and dreams bigger than his empty bank account. She'd been a venture capital analyst, fresh from Harvard, and she'd seen something in him that others missed. She'd believed in him when nobody else would. For 2 years, she'd invested her own money, her reputation, her heart in building his company. Then 5 years ago, they'd married in a beautiful ceremony, combining their love with their business partnership. Together, they'd built Grayson Technologies from her tiny apartment into a billion-dollar empire, working 18-hour days, sacrificing everything for success. 5 years of marriage had made them Chicago's most powerful couple. She'd made him rich. She'd made him famous. She'd made him everything he'd ever dreamed of becoming. Tonight he was going to repay 5 years of marriage with the cruelest betrayal imaginable. "Ladies and gentlemen," Michael's voice boomed across the silent terrace as he tapped his champagne glass. 500 conversations died instantly. News cameras focused on the makeshift stage, where Chicago's power couple would renew their 5-year wedding vows. Amanda's pulse quickened as she moved toward the stage, silver heels clicking against stone. This was their moment. The public declaration of their 5-year marriage bond. Their shared success, their enduring love. But something in Michael's expression made her blood turn to ice. His smile looked carved from stone, his eyes avoiding hers completely. The warmth that had sustained them through 5 years of marriage. Every challenge, every victory, every moment that should have made them stronger. It was gone. 5 years ago, I made a commitment that changed my life, Michael announced, his voice carrying across the frozen crowd. Tonight, I want to share something with all of you that will change everything about these 5 years. Terror flooded Amanda's veins. These weren't the words they'd rehearsed for their 5th anniversary. This wasn't the speech about 5 years of love and partnership they planned. The crowd sensed the shift. Glasses froze halfway to lips. Whispers died completely, and every camera zoomed in on the stage. "I'm filing for divorce from Amanda," Michael declared, his words hitting like physical blows. "These 5 years have been a lie. I'm marrying the woman I truly love, my beautiful Sabrina. That's when she appeared. 28 years old, blonde, stunning. Wearing the white wedding dress that should have been Amanda's for their vow renewal. Sabrina walked onto the stage like she owned it. Like she'd been planning this moment throughout Amanda's entire 5-year marriage. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, and Amanda Grayson felt her heart shatter into a million pieces as her husband of 5 years kissed another woman at their own anniversary party. The silence stretched like a knife blade across the terrace. 500 of America's most influential people stood frozen. Champagne glasses suspended halfway to shocked lips as Michael Grayson kissed his mistress on the stage where he should have been renewing vows with his wife. Amanda felt the world tilt beneath her silver heels. The marble floor seemed to shift. The crystal chandeliers blurred into streaks of golden light. And the sound of her own heartbeat thundered in her ears like a war drum. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But the cameras kept rolling. Michael, what are you doing? Amanda's voice cracked across the silent crowd, barely above a whisper, but somehow carrying to every corner of the estate. Her emerald eyes, usually so confident in boardrooms and business meetings, now reflected pure devastation. Michael broke away from Sabrina's kiss, his arms still wrapped possessively around the younger woman's waist. The smile on his face was cold, calculated, cruel. This wasn't a moment of passion or a mistake born from too much champagne. This was planned, orchestrated, designed for maximum destruction. I'm being honest for the first time in 5 years, Michael replied, his voice amplified by the microphone he still held. Amanda, you've been a wonderful business partner, but Sabrina is my future. She's everything you could never be. The crowd gasped collectively. Patricia Blackwood dropped her champagne flute, crystal shattering against stone. Senator Williams pulled out his phone, already calculating how to distance himself from the scandal. The news reporters pushed closer, sensing the story of the decade unfolding before their cameras. Amanda's legs threatened to give out beneath her. 5 years of marriage, 7 years of building an empire together, countless nights working side by side, dreaming together, planning their future together. All of it reduced to a wonderful business partner. In front of everyone who mattered in their world. You planned this, Amanda whispered, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. The party, the cameras, the guest list. You planned to humiliate me. Michael's laugh was sharp and bitter. I planned to be free. Sabrina and I have been together for 2 years, Amanda. 2 years of real love while I was trapped in a marriage that died long ago. Tonight, I'm finally choosing happiness over obligation. 2 years. The number echoed in Amanda's mind like a death knell. 2 years of lies. 2 years of deception. 2 years of her husband living a double life, while she worked 18-hour days to build their empire. 2 years of coming home excited to share business victories with a man who was sharing his bed with someone else. Sabrina stepped forward, her white dress catching the spotlight like she was the star of her own wedding. At 28, she possessed the kind of youth and beauty that made older women feel invisible. Her blonde hair cascaded in perfect waves. Her blue eyes sparkled with triumph, and her smile radiated the confidence of a woman who just won the ultimate prize. Amanda, Sabrina said, her voice honey, sweet and poisonous. I hope you understand. Michael needs someone who can inspire him. Someone who makes him feel alive. Someone who doesn't treat marriage like a business merger. The words hit like acid. Amanda had poured her heart, her soul, her entire life into supporting Michael's dreams. She'd sacrificed her own career ambitions, her friendships, her family relationships to build their company. She'd worked weekends while other wives went to spas, attended business dinners while other couples went on romantic vacations, negotiated deals while other women planned children. And this was her reward. The crowd began to murmur, whispers spreading like wildfire across the terrace. Some guests looked embarrassed, others fascinated by the drama unfolding before them. The news cameras captured every moment, every tear threatening to fall from Amanda's eyes, every cruel smile on Michael's face. The prenup protects both of us, Michael continued, his voice businesslike now, as if he were discussing quarterly earnings instead of destroying his wife's life. You'll be financially comfortable, Amanda, but Grayson Technologies, the house, the assets, they stay with me. After all, I am the CEO. That's when something shifted in Amanda's expression. The devastation flickered, replaced by something harder, colder, more dangerous. Because Michael had just made a crucial mistake. In his arrogance, in his need to humiliate her completely, had revealed something he should have kept secret. He thought he owned everything. He thought she was powerless. He thought wrong. Amanda straightened her shoulders, lifted her chin, and looked directly into the news cameras that were broadcasting this moment to millions of viewers across the country. When she spoke, her voice was steady, clear, and filled with a quiet strength that made the entire crowd lean forward. "Thank you, Michael," she said, her words carrying across the silent terrace like a promise. "Thank you for doing this publicly. Thank you for making sure everyone could see exactly who you really are. And thank you for reminding me exactly who I am." She turned to face the crowd, her emerald eyes blazing with newfound determination. "Ladies and gentlemen, you came here tonight to witness a celebration of love. Instead, you've witnessed something far more valuable, the birth of truth." Michael's confident smile faltered slightly. Something in Amanda's tone, in her sudden composure, made him uneasy. This wasn't how defeated wives were supposed to behave. This wasn't the broken woman had expected to leave behind. "Enjoy your wedding, Michael," Amanda continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Enjoy it while you can, because tomorrow, you're going to learn something very important about the woman you just betrayed." She paused, letting the silence build, letting the cameras capture every word. "You're going to learn that I'm not just your wife. I'm not just your business partner. I'm the woman who built you. And what I built, I can destroy." With that, Amanda Grayson turned and walked away from the stage, her silver gown flowing behind her like liquid mercury. Her head held high despite the chaos erupting around her. She didn't run. She didn't collapse. She didn't give Michael or Sabrina, or the 500 witnesses, the satisfaction of seeing her break. But as she disappeared into the mansion, one thought burned in her mind like fire. Michael had no idea what he just unleashed. And by tomorrow morning, the entire world would know that Amanda Grayson wasn't a victim. She was a force of nature. Amanda's silver heels echoed through the marble hallways of the mansion as she walked, away from the chaos behind her. The sounds of shocked conversations, clicking cameras, and Michael's triumphant laughter faded with each step. Her hands trembled slightly, but her mind was crystal clear for the first time in months. Everything made sense now. Michael's distance, his late nights at the office, his sudden interest in expanding the business to new markets, the mysterious phone calls he'd taken private, the weekend business trips that never seemed to generate new clients, the way he'd started treating her like an employee instead of a partner. 2 years had been planning this humiliation for 2 years, while she'd been working to make him richer, more powerful, more successful. While she'd been loving him, had been preparing to destroy her. But Michael had made one fatal error in his calculations. In his arrogance, in his desperate need to publicly humiliate her, had forgotten the most important detail of their empire. He didn't actually own it. Amanda reached her private study, a sanctuary lined with law books, business journals, and the original incorporation documents of Grayson Technologies. She closed the door behind her, shutting out the noise of the party that was rapidly dissolving into chaos. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see guests streaming toward their cars, phones pressed to their ears as they shared the scandal with the world. Her phone buzzed with notifications, text messages from friends, missed calls from reporters, social media alerts as videos of Michael's betrayal went viral across every platform. By morning, their story would be international news. The powerful CEO who divorced his wife for his mistress at their own anniversary party. But they had no idea what was coming next. Amanda opened her laptop and pulled up the corporate documents she'd filed 7 years ago, when she'd first invested in Michael's startup. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced precision, accessing files that Michael had probably forgotten existed. Files that would change everything. Because while Michael had been busy planning his betrayal, Amanda had been protecting herself in ways had never imagined. The truth was simple and devastating. Amanda Grayson owned 65% of Grayson Technologies, not 50%, not 40%, 65%. A controlling majority that made her the true owner of their billion-dollar empire. When she'd first invested in Michael's company, she'd been smart enough to structure the deal properly. As the primary investor, the business strategist, and the person who'd secured their biggest clients, she'd retained majority ownership. Michael was the CEO, the public face, the charismatic leader who charmed investors and media. But Amanda was the owner. Over the years, as the company grew and went public, Shed allowed Michael to believe they were equal partners. Shed let him handle the press conferences, the board meetings, the public appearances. Shed been content to work behind the scenes, building their empire, while he basked in the spotlight. It had been an act of love, letting him shine, while she did the real work. Tonight, it would become an act of war. Amanda picked up her phone and dialed a number she knew by heart. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Amanda, I just saw the news. Are you okay?" "Hello, David," Amanda said calmly. David Morrison was her personal attorney, a Harvard Law graduate who specialized in corporate takeovers and had been her friend since business school. "I need you to file some paperwork first thing tomorrow morning." "Of course. What do you need?" "I'm exercising my rights as majority shareholder of Grayson Technologies. I want Michael removed as CEO effective immediately. I want all company accounts frozen pending a full audit, and I want security to escort him from the building tomorrow morning." The silence on the other end of the line stretched for several seconds. "Amanda, are you sure about this? The media attention alone will be..." "David," Amanda interrupted, her voice steady as steel. "My husband just divorced me on live television and announced his marriage to his mistress at our anniversary party. He told 500 people and millions of viewers that he owns everything we built together. Tomorrow morning Hay's going to learn that he owns nothing." "Jesus Christ," David whispered. "He really did that in public. Every second was recorded. It's probably trending on social media right now." Amanda pulled up her laptop screen, showing the corporate structure that would destroy Michael's world. "He wanted to humiliate me, publicly. So I'm going to destroy him publicly." "What about the prenup?" Amanda's smile was sharp as a blade. "The prenup protects personal assets in a divorce. It doesn't protect him from being fired by the majority shareholder of his own company. It doesn't protect him from losing his salary, his stock options, his company car, his corporate credit cards, or his access to the business he thinks he owns." David's laugh was low and admiring. "You magnificent, terrifying woman. He has no idea what's coming, does he?" "None whatsoever." Amanda stood and walked to the window, looking down at the chaos on her terrace. Michael was still on the stage, posing for photos with Sabrina, accepting congratulations from the few guests who hadn't fled in embarrassment. He looked like a man who just won the lottery. By tomorrow, he'd be unemployed. "There's more," Amanda continued. "I want you to contact our biggest clients, Morrison Industries, Tech Solutions International, the Peterson Group. Remind them that their contracts are with me personally, not with Grayson Technologies. If they want to maintain their business relationships, they'll need to decide whether they're following Michael or following me." "Amanda, that's business." "David, Michael taught me that everything is business." "Well, tomorrow Hay's going to learn that betrayal is also business, and I'm much better at business than he ever was." Through the window, Amanda watched as Michael finally noticed the exodus of guests. His confident smile flickered as he realized that his moment of triumph was turning into a public relations disaster. Reporters were packing up their equipment. Investors were avoiding eye contact, and the social media influencers who'd come to document a romantic celebration were now broadcasting the scandal of the decade. But he still had no idea what was really coming. Amanda's phone buzzed with a text message from Maria. "Mrs. Grayson, the caterers are asking if they should continue serving dinner." Amanda typed back quickly. "Tell them to pack everything up. The party's over." Then she added, "And Maria, tomorrow morning, call building security at Grayson Technologies. Tell them that Michael Grayson is no longer authorized to enter the building. His access card should be deactivated by 9 a.m. "David," Amanda said, returning to her phone call. "I want this done cleanly and legally. No loopholes, no appeals, no way for him to fight back. When Michael wakes up tomorrow, I want him to discover that the empire he thought he owned just became his ex-wife's property. Consider it done." "Amanda, I'm sorry this happened to you, but I have to say, watching you turn his betrayal into his destruction is going to be the most beautiful revenge I've ever witnessed." Amanda's reflection smiled back at her from the dark window. Outside, the last of the guests were fleeing the scene of Michael's triumph turned disaster. Soon, the mansion would be empty except for her cheating husband, and his mistress. But tomorrow, Michael would wake up to discover that his new wife had married a man with no job, no company, and no power. While Amanda would wake up as the sole owner of a billion-dollar empire. David, she said softly, this isn't revenge. This is justice. And it's just the beginning. The morning sun cast long shadows across Chicago as Michael Grayson's world began to crumble. He woke up in the penthouse suite of the Four Seasons. Sabrina curled beside him in silk pajamas, both of them still glowing from what they thought was their victory the night before. His phone had been buzzing since 6 a.m., but Michael ignored it. Today was supposed to be about celebration. About starting his new life with the woman he truly loved. Yesterday's party had been messy, sure, but Amanda would get over it. She was tough, practical. She'd take the divorce settlement and move on. He had no idea that his empire was already gone. The first sign of trouble came when Michael tried to use his corporate credit card for breakfast. The waiter returned with an embarrassed expression, explaining that the card had been declined. Michael frowned, pulling out his personal American Express. That worked, but something cold settled in his stomach. Probably just a computer glitch, he told Sabrina, who was scrolling through social media with increasing alarm. Michael, she said slowly, her face pale, as she stared at her phone screen. We're everywhere. Every news site, every social platform. The videos from last night, they're calling it the most brutal public betrayal in business history. Michael grabbed her phone, his eyes widening as he read the headlines. Billionaire CEO divorces wife at anniversary party. Grayson technology scandal rocks Chicago. Power couple implodes on live television. The videos had millions of views. His announcement. Sabrina's entrance in the wedding dress. Amanda's final words before she walked away. All of it captured in high definition and shared across the internet like wildfire. This is good, Michael said, though his voice lacked conviction. Publicity is publicity. The company's stock might dip temporarily, but... His phone rang. David Morrison, Amanda's attorney. Michael, we need to talk. Can you come to my office this morning? I'm busy. David, whatever Amanda wants to discuss about the divorce, can wait until... Michael, David's voice was sharp. This isn't about the divorce. This is about Grayson Technologies. You need to get here now. The line went dead. Michael stared at his phone. Confusion and the first tendrils of real fear creeping through his chest. Why would Amanda's divorce attorney want to discuss his company? An hour later, Michael sat across from David Morrison in a conference room that felt like a courtroom. Legal documents were spread across the mahogany table like evidence in a trial. Sabrina sat beside him, her designer dress and perfect makeup unable to hide the growing anxiety in her eyes. I'm going to make this simple, David said, sliding a folder across the table. As of 9 a.m. this morning, Amanda Grayson has assumed full control of Grayson Technologies as majority shareholder. You are no longer CEO. Your access to all company accounts, properties, and assets has been terminated. The words hit Michael like physical blows. That's impossible. I own 50% of the company. Amanda can't. You own 35%. David interrupted. Amanda owns 65%. She has since the company's incorporation 7 years ago. You've been operating as CEO at her discretion, not as an owner. Michael's face went white. No, that's not. We're equal partners. We built that company together. David opened the folder, revealing the original incorporation documents. There in black and white was the truth that would destroy Michael's world. Amanda Grayson, 65% ownership. Michael Grayson, 35% ownership. She let you believe you were equal partners, David continued. She let you be the public face, the CEO, the one who got all the credit. But she was always the majority owner. And last night when you publicly humiliated her and announced your intention to take everything in the divorce, she decided to remind you of that fact. Sabrina grabbed Michael's arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his skin. What does this mean? What about the money, the house, the lifestyle you promised me? Michael couldn't speak. His mind reeled as the implications crashed over him like a tsunami. No company meant no salary. No salary meant no penthouse. No luxury cars. No private jets. No access to the lifestyle that had attracted Sabrina in the first place. There's more, David said, his voice almost gentle now. Your personal assets are protected by the but they're not as substantial as you might think. The mansion belongs to the company. Amanda's company now. The cars, the boat, the vacation homes, all company assets. Your personal net worth, separate from Grayson Technologies, is approximately $2 million. $2 million. It sounded like a fortune to most people. But in the world Michael and Sabrina inhabited, it was barely enough to maintain their lifestyle for a year. Sabrina's face went through a series of expressions: confusion, disbelief, horror, and finally, cold calculation. 2 million. That's it. Michael, you told me you were worth hundreds of millions. I am, Michael said desperately. The company is worth billions. My stake alone, your 35% stake in a company you no longer control, David corrected. Amanda is under no obligation to buy you out. She could keep you as a minority shareholder indefinitely, or she could restructure the company in ways that diminish the value of your shares. Legally, you have very few options. The conference room fell silent, except for the sound of Sabrina's sharp breathing. Michael watched as the woman had destroyed his marriage for began to realize the magnitude of what Shed actually won. Shed won a man with no job, no company, and no access to the fortune she thought she was marrying. I need to make some calls, Sabrina said suddenly. Standing up so quickly, her chair scraped against the floor. I need to think about this. She left the conference room without looking back, her heels clicking rapidly down the hallway, like the sound of someone running away. Michael sat frozen, watching the door close behind the woman had sacrificed everything for. Michael, David said quietly. Amanda asked me to give you a message. Michael looked up with desperate hope. Maybe Amanda would be reasonable. Maybe they could work something out. Maybe, she said, to tell you that this is what happens when you confuse being the face of a company with being its owner. She built you up, and now she's taking you down. The only difference is that this time, the whole world is watching. David gathered his papers and stood to leave. Oh, and one more thing. The media is calling it the most expensive divorce in Chicago history. Not because of what Amanda lost, but because of what you're about to lose. As the attorney left, Michael sat alone in the conference room, surrounded by the legal documents that had just destroyed his life. Outside, Chicago hummed with activity. People going to work, building their careers, chasing their dreams. But Michael Grayson, the man who'd thought he owned the world, now owned nothing but the consequences of his betrayal. And somewhere in the city, his ex-wife was sitting in the CEO's office that used to be his, building something even greater from the ashes of their marriage, while his new wife was probably already planning her escape. 6 months after the most infamous anniversary party in Chicago history, Amanda Grayson stood before a packed auditorium at Northwestern University, addressing an audience of aspiring entrepreneurs. The woman who'd been publicly humiliated on live television was now the most celebrated businesswoman in America. Betrayal, she said, her voice carrying clearly across the silent auditorium. Betrayal is often just clarity wearing a disguise. The audience hung on every word. Amanda's story had become legend. The wife who turned her husband's betrayal into a billion-dollar empire. The woman who proved that sometimes your greatest weakness becomes your ultimate strength. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the logo of her new company, Fifth Hour Rising, empowering women entrepreneurs. In 6 months, Shed built it from nothing into a multi-million-dollar foundation that had already funded over 200 women-owned startups across America. When my husband divorced me at our anniversary party, Amanda continued, he thought he was taking everything from me. What he actually did was give me the greatest gift of my life. He showed me exactly who I was without him. The transformation had been remarkable to witness. Within weeks of taking control of Grayson Technologies, Amanda had restructured the entire company. Shed promoted women to leadership positions, implemented family-friendly policies, and shifted the company's focus towards sustainable technology solutions. The stock price had soared to record highs. Michael, meanwhile, had disappeared from Chicago society entirely. Sabrina had left him within a month, taking half of his remaining assets in what tabloids called the fastest gold digger exit in history. Last anyone heard, he was living in a modest apartment in Phoenix, trying to start a consulting business that was struggling to find clients. The night of my anniversary party, Amanda said, I learned something crucial about power. Real power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. It's about knowing your worth when everyone else tries to diminish it. In the audience, hundreds of women nodded in recognition. Amanda's story had resonated far beyond Chicago's elite circles. Women across the country saw themselves in her journey. The wives who'd been taken for granted. The business partners who'd been overlooked. The women who'd built empires only to watch men take credit. I spent 5 years making my husband successful, Amanda continued. I worked 18-hour days, sacrificed my own ambitions, and convinced myself that his success was our success. But the truth is, I was successful all along. I just needed someone to betray me badly enough to remember it. The auditorium erupted in applause. Amanda smiled, remembering the broken woman who'd walked away from that anniversary party 6 months ago. That woman had felt powerless, humiliated, destroyed. Shed had no idea that her destruction would become her liberation. Fifth Hour Rising exists because I learned that our darkest moments often happen right before dawn, Amanda said. The fifth hour of the night is when everything feels hopeless, when you think the darkness will never end. But it's also the hour right before sunrise. The foundation had already changed hundreds of lives. Women who'd been told they weren't smart enough, strong enough, or valuable enough to build their own companies were now running successful businesses. Single mothers were becoming tech entrepreneurs. Divorced women were launching startups. Betrayed wives were becoming CEOs. I want to share something with you, Amanda said, her voice growing softer but more powerful. The morning after my husband's betrayal, I woke up and looked in the mirror. For the first time in years, I saw myself clearly, not as someone's wife, not as someone's business partner, but as Amanda Grayson, a woman who'd built $1 billion empire, and could build another one. She paused, letting the silence build. That's when I realized that Michael hadn't destroyed me. Had freed me. Had removed the one thing that was holding me back from becoming who I was always meant to be. The audience was completely silent now, absorbed in her story. Today, Grayson Technologies is more successful than ever. Fifth Hour Rising has funded over 200 women-owned businesses, and I wake up every morning knowing that I built this empire not in spite of my betrayal, but because of it. Amanda's eyes found the cameras recording her speech, knowing that millions of women would watch this moment online. To every woman who's been betrayed, overlooked, or underestimated, your fifth hour is not your ending. It's your beginning. The people who try to diminish you are often just showing you how powerful you really are. She stepped closer to the microphone. Her final words carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. My husband thought he was marrying his mistress and divorcing his wife. What he actually did was divorce his business partner and marry his downfall. Because the woman he betrayed wasn't just his wife. She was his creator. And what I created once, I could create again. The auditorium exploded in a standing ovation that lasted 5 full minutes. Women were crying, cheering, holding up signs with Fifth Hour Rising written in bold letters. Amanda stood at the podium, no longer the broken woman from that anniversary party, but a force of nature who turned her greatest pain into her greatest purpose. As she left the stage, Amanda's phone buzzed with a text message from Maria. Mrs. Grayson, Forbes wants to interview you for their cover story. The most powerful women in business. They're calling you the CEO who turned betrayal into billions. Amanda smiled, remembering Michael's words from that terrible night. Sabrina is everything you could never be. Had been right in a way. Sabrina could never be what Amanda had become. A woman who transformed her husband's cruelest betrayal into the foundation of an empire that would outlast them all. Because sometimes the people who try to destroy us actually teach us how indestructible we really are. And sometimes, the worst thing that happens to us becomes the best thing that ever happened to us. Amanda Grayson had learned that lesson the hard way. Now she was teaching it to the world.